Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this beautiful shift dress with drawstrings and pockets. It also has pocket with ruffles. So I'm starting with my fabric already on fold. For this style, I'm making use of just one Ankara fabric because if you look at the inspiration picture, she made use of two different fabrics, but my client wanted just this single fabric. So I'm really my starting line now. I'm going to be measuring the length of my short dress. The length for this dress is 42 inches and I'm adding 1 inch for hemming allowance, making it a total of 43 inches. So I'm going to be marking from the nape of my neck to where I want the sleeve to stop. This is 16 inches for my client. I'm going to be adding 1 inch for seam allowance. So that makes it a total of 17 inches. Then from that point, I'm coming down by 1.5 inch for my shoulder slope. I'm also going to be marking my neck width of 3.25 inches. Then I'm really joining it together to my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to be adding my shoulder seam allowance of 0.5 inch to this line. Next thing I'm going to be marking is my sleeve opening. I marked 11 inches for my sleeve opening. I'm going to be ruling it from my shoulder slope to the 11 inches point. I'm just trying to mark out the point and rule a straight line there. Please, if this is your first time of coming across my channel and watching my video, kindly subscribe to the channel. It promises to be very educating and entertaining. So back to the tutorial. Then I'm going to be measuring the largest part of my client's body, which is her hip, and dividing it by 4. That's about 11.5 inches. Then I'm going to be adding 3 inches of ease to that. So that's 14.5 inches in total. Now I'm going to be marking the 14.5 inches all down from my sleeve opening point. I hope you get what I'm saying. So it's just going to be a straight line from the sleeve opening point down. So then I'm going to be connecting that 14.5 inches point to my sleeve opening with a curve using my curved ruler. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is marking my neck depth. This is for the back, please. I'm drafting for the back right now. So I marked the neck depth of 1.5 inches for the back of this dress. And then the next thing to do now is to cut out the back of the dress. Note, because I'm using the same fabric for both sides, that's why I'm cutting the back on fold. If I were to use two different Ankara fabrics as it is in the inspiration picture, I would not be cutting it on fold, it will be separate. So I'm just going to be having a seam allowance at that center point. I hope you get what I'm saying. You're going to be seeing it when I cut the front part of the dress, because that's going to have a joining because of the ruching at the center. So moving on to the front part of the dress, I have my fabric on fold as well, and I'm going to be placing the back on the front. But before I do that, I'm marking 1 inch allowance. So I'm going to be placing the center fold of the back, the center part of the back, on this 1 inch allowance. This 1 inch allowance will serve as the casing for my rope for the ruching at the center front. So I'm just marking out my neck width and my neck depth. Then I'm going to be cutting out the front, because the front is almost the same thing with the back, with the exception of the 1 inch seam allowance at the front. So since I already marked my neck depth, I'm just going to be marking my neck width, I'm just going to be marking my neck depth for the front, and I marked that, and I'm just going to be folding in that 1 inch allowance. Then I'll be cutting my V neckline for the front. So I hope you see that. Then I'm going to be separating my front piece into two, excuse me. So I'm done with the cutting. Now moving on to the sewing, we're going to be dealing with the front part first, and the very first thing you want to do for this style is to hem the lower part of the front, so you don't have to do extra work. Just hem the lower part first. Then after hemming the lower part, you're going to be joining that 1 inch seam allowance you left. You're going to be joining it all the way down. So this is it. I've joined it. This is the wrong side of the front. I've joined it. Next, you're going to be folding each the leftover seam allowance. I don't know if you get that part. Yes, you're going to be folding it in a bit, just like to hem in the rough edge. So I folded in 0.25 inch. So that means I still have 0.75. That 0.75 will serve as my casing for the rope I'll be making later for the ruching. So you can actually mark with your tailor's chalk. I marked 0. You can see me using my tape. Yeah, I marked 0.75, and I just folded in the tiny little remaining fabric, and I used that to hem my casing. So if you're a beginner, you can actually pin it down first before stitching it to make things easier for you. So after marking your 0.75 inch, you just fold the rest in and pin down before actually stitching down to make things easy for you. So I am done with one side now, and I did the same thing for the other side, exact same thing. So after doing this is what it looks like now on the wrong side, and this is how neat it looks on the right side. So I already have my ropes. I just cut a fabric of about, your fabric should be longer than the dress, like about 10 inches longer than the dress. So I folded it into 3, like folded it first, then folded it again, and you know how to make a rope. So with the head of my safety pin, I inserted my ropes into the channels, and then I top stitched at the neckline to secure it. Then here I have turned my neckline with my bias tape neatly. Then we're going to move on to making the pockets now. In order to make the pocket, I marked my client's waistline, which is 17.5 inch. Then from the center line, I marked 2.5 on that 17.5 line on the waistline. I marked 2.5 from the center, so that's where my pocket will be starting from. And to ensure my pocket is straight, I just drew the straight line on my waistline. So my pocket is 7.75 inch by 8 inch. I folded 1 inch at the top, then I folded half an inch all round, and I pressed it down with my pressing iron. I also cut a strip of 5 inches for my ruffles. I folded it into 2 and I stitched on it, and I also weaved the edge. So this strip will be for my ruffle. Next thing you need to do is stitch down the 1 inch you folded at the top of your pocket. Then after stitching down that 1 inch, I'm going to be pinning my pocket down in order to secure it. Then I'm folding my strip into 2 in order to get the center point. I will also be figuring out the center point of my pocket and placing these 2 points together so that I have equal amount of fabric on both sides, if you get what I mean. So I'm going to be placing one edge against my one edge of my pocket, as you see in the video. I'm going to be pinning it down. Then I'm going to be doing the same thing to the other edge. So from this point here, I'm just going to be making, you know, pleats to form my ruffles. You can see how I am tucking my ruffles underneath the seam allowance of my pocket. So I'm just going to, please use your pins, you need your pins here. So I'm just pinning it down. Then I'm going to be doing the same thing to the other side. Because I don't have a velvet tape that was used in the inspiration video, I would have just stop stitched my ruffles on it easily and used the velvet tape to cover up my seams. But I am doing this tucking in method because I don't have a velvet tape at hand. So you can actually get a velvet tape if you want things easy and just stop stitch on your pocket. The seams will be showing, so use your velvet tape to cover it up. But this also works, this method also works. So I'm just tucking in the strip and I'll be sewing it down gently. Just take your time to sew it down, to stitch it down. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm done with it, and I removed my pins and I cut out my thread, and this is what we have now. Our pocket is looking beautiful. So that's it for the front. Then I already finished my back neckline with my bias, and now I'm going to be joining my shoulder line together. Then I'll be hemming my sleeve opening by folding it, by double folding. Then I'm also going to be joining my side seams, and I'll also be weaving it to have a clean finish. Then I also hemmed the bottom part of my back. Remember, we hemmed the front part of our dress, so I hemmed the bottom part, and this is the finished look, guys. It looks so good in person more than on the mannequin. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Bye.